What could one of the most revered figures in the world be hiding? What was the unexpected revelation that Mother Teresa shared in her final moments? In this video, we dive into the confessions that shook beliefs surrounding this iconic figure just before her death, unveiling a secret that could forever change our perception of the Saint of Calcutta. No one captured the public's heart quite like Mother Teresa. Her life, devoted to serving the most disadvantaged in Calcutta, made her a universal symbol of compassion, love, and mercy. One of her most impactful phrases, which faithfully reflects her unwavering commitment, was, "The greatest threat to peace is the cry of the unborn child." This statement, though controversial, highlights the strength of her principles and her firm stance in defense of life in all its forms. Throughout her existence, Mother Teresa emerged as a figure who broke through the barriers of religion and culture. With unshakable faith, she touched the lives of millions around the world. She founded the Missionaries of Charity, a congregation that to this day continues its work in various nations helping the most vulnerable. However, behind that impeccable public image, Mother Teresa also experienced moments of doubt and internal struggle. In her final days, she revealed a secret that could forever alter how we see her. That secret, closely guarded until the end, shows us a much more human and fragile side of the Saint of Calcutta. Officially known as Saint Teresa of Calcutta since her canonization in 2016, her legacy is a mix of admiration and complexity. While celebrated worldwide for her altruistic work, which earned her the Nobel Peace Prize for her fight against poverty, she was also the target of criticism. Some questioned the quality of medical care provided by her organization, and there were accusations of possible forced conversions on deathbeds. Additionally, she was linked to colonialism, racism, and controversial public figures. Despite these criticisms, she never defended herself. Until before her death, she broke her silence and revealed a shocking secret. Mother Teresa's journey to India began long before, when she was born Agnes Gonksha Boyakshiu on August 26, 1910, in Skopje, then part of the Ottoman Empire. She was baptized the day after her birth, though she always considered August 27th her true birthday. She was the youngest daughter of Nicola and Dranafili Boyakshiu. Her father, active in Albanian politics, died in 1919 when she was just 8 years old. From a young age, she was deeply fascinated by the stories of missionaries and their selfless service in Bengal. By the age of 12, she had already decided that her life would be dedicated to religion, a conviction that strengthened on August 15th, 1928. While praying at the shrine of the Black Madonna of Letnice, a place she frequently visited on pilgrimage. At the age of 18, in 1928, she said goodbye to her home for good, embarking on a long journey to the Sisters of Loreto at the Loreto Convent in Farnham, Ireland. Her goal? To learn English, as it was the language of instruction in Loreto missions in India, where she dreamed of becoming a missionary. Sadly, she never saw her mother or sister again, who lived in Skopje until 1934 before moving to Tirana. In 1929, she finally arrived in India, and in Darjeeling, among the majestic Himalayan mountains, began her novitiate. There she delved into Bengali and also began her work as a teacher at Santa Teresa's school near her convent. May 24th, 1931 was a significant day for her, as she took her first religious vows, inspired by Teresa of Lisieux, the patron saint of missionaries, adopting her name. However, since another sister already bore that name, she decided to honor it with the Spanish spelling. Her missionary vocation reached its peak when, on May 14th, 1937, while working as a teacher at the Loreto Convent School in Entally, east of Calcutta, she made her solemn vows, receiving the title of Mother according to Loreto tradition. She spent nearly 2 decades teaching, and in 1944, she was appointed principal. Although she enjoyed teaching, the poverty she saw around her caused her deep unease. The devastation of the Bengal famine in 1943 and the Direct Action Day riots in 1946 further fueled her desire to help the poor. During a train journey to Darjeeling in 1946, she experienced a strong inner call from Jesus to serve the poor of India. She sought and obtained permission to leave the school, and in 1950 she founded the Missionaries of Charity, adopting a simple white sari with 2 blue stripes as the order's habit. On September 10, 1946, Mother Teresa had a profound spiritual experience, which she described as the call within the call. During her retreat at the Loreto Convent in Darjeeling, she felt the urgent need to leave the convent and live among the poorest, a divine call she could not ignore without betraying her faith. Joseph Langford, founder of the Missionary Fathers of Charity, emphasized that in 1948, while many did not know it, Sister Teresa had already become Mother Teresa. She left behind the Loreto habit and adopted the simple white sari that characterized her, embarking on her mission among the poorest. She became an Indian citizen and received basic medical training at Holy Family Hospital in Patna before heading to the slums of Calcutta. In 1949, she founded a school in Moti Jil, accompanied by a group of young women who would soon form a new religious community dedicated to serving the poorest of the poor. Her tireless work soon attracted the attention of the Indian government, including the Prime Minister. On October 7, 1950, the Vatican granted approval to the diocesan congregation, which would evolve into the Missionaries of Charity. According to her own words, this congregation would be dedicated to caring for the hungry, the naked, the homeless, the crippled, the blind, the lepers, and all those who feel unwanted, unloved, and abandoned by society, marginalized and rejected people. But Mother Teresa's compassion did not stop there, as she also opened her first hospice for those who suffered the most. In 1952, with the support of officials in Calcutta, she transformed an abandoned Hindu temple into Nirmal Hriday, known as the home of the pure heart. This place was freely offered to the poorest, especially those in the final moments of their lives. In this refuge, terminally ill patients received medical care and were allowed to die with dignity, respecting their religious beliefs. Muslims were given the Quran, Hindus were offered water from the Ganges, and Catholics were administered the sacrament of extreme unction. Mother Teresa considered this process a beautiful death, as those who lived in poverty could leave this world surrounded by love and compassion. She also founded a hospice dedicated to people affected by leprosy, called Shanti Nagar, the City of Peace. The Missionaries of Charity, the congregation created by Mother Teresa, established various clinics in Calcutta to treat lepers, providing medical care, bandages, and food. As the number of abandoned children grew, the congregation began to take in homeless children. In 1955, Mother Teresa opened Nirmala Shishu Bhavan, the home of the Immaculate Heart, a shelter for orphans and destitute young people. The congregation experienced significant growth, both in the number of members and in donations, which allowed the opening of hospices, orphanages, and leprosy clinics throughout India. By the 1960s, Mother Teresa had expanded her work internationally, founding a house in Venezuela in 1965 with 5 members. She later established new houses in Italy, Rome, Tanzania, and Austria. During the 1970s, the congregation continued its expansion with new foundations in the United States, Asia, Africa, and Europe. In 1963, a male branch of the Missionaries of Charity was established, and in 1976, a contemplative branch for sisters was created. Additionally, both lay Catholics and non-Catholics were invited to collaborate with Mother Teresa through the Sick and Suffering Co-workers and the lay Missionaries of Charity. In response to requests from several priests, Mother Teresa founded the Corpus Christi movement for priests in 1981. And in 1983, together with Joseph Langford, she created the Missionary Fathers of Charity, uniting the efforts of the missionaries of charity with the priesthood. By 1997, the congregation in Calcutta, which had started with a small number of members, had already grown to over 4,000 sisters who managed orphanages, hospices for AIDS patients, and charity centers around the world. Their mission served refugees, the blind, the disabled, the elderly, alcoholics, the homeless, and victims of natural disasters, epidemics, and famines. By 2007, the Missionaries of Charity had approximately 450 brothers and 5,000 sisters, operating in 600 missions, schools, and shelters in over 120 countries. Mother Teresa often described herself in various ways: Albanian by blood, Indian by citizenship, and a Catholic nun by faith. Although much of her work was carried out in India, she occasionally traveled abroad for humanitarian causes. In 1971, she visited Belfast during a time of intense tensions, accompanied by 4 of her sisters. It is known that she faced pressure from high-ranking clergy who believed her work should focus elsewhere. Despite the warm welcome and support she received, Mother Teresa and her sisters abruptly left the city in 1973. Was there something behind her departure? Or did Mother Teresa sense something that led her to leave earlier than planned? We will soon find out. In 1991, Mother Teresa visited the victims. Amid the radiation of Chernobyl and the victims of the earthquake in Armenia, Mother Teresa made her first return to Albania, where she founded a home for the Missionary Brothers of Charity in Tirana. By 1996, the Missionaries of Charity were already managing 517 missions in more than 100 countries. The number of sisters had grown to thousands, dedicated to serving the poorest in 450 centers worldwide. Silently, she sought a deep connection with Jesus Christ, with his face and his heart, while she prayed and contemplated. However, in private, Mother Teresa battled doubts and internal struggles that lasted nearly 5 decades. Throughout her life, she expressed great uncertainty about the existence of God and the anguish caused by this sense of spiritual emptiness. Did this mean she had distanced herself from God? Another secret is about to be revealed. This experience of spiritual dryness, where the soul is trapped in emptiness, was not unique to her. Other saints, like Teresa of Lisieux, had also experienced something similar. James Langford stated that such doubts were common and would not prevent her canonization. After a decade of struggle, Mother Teresa experienced a brief resurgence of faith after the death of Pope Pius V in 1958. During a requiem mass in his honor, she felt a relief, a breath from her spiritual suffering, but that calm was fleeting as the dryness returned weeks later. In 66 years, Mother Teresa wrote many letters to her confessors and superiors, especially to the Archbishop of Calcutta and Jesuit priest Celeste van Exem, her spiritual advisor since the founding of the Missionaries of Charity. Mother Teresa requested that these letters be destroyed, fearing they would divert attention toward her and away from Christ, but all were preserved and published in the book Mother Teresa, Come Be My Light. In one of these letters, she wrote to her friend Michael van der Peet that Jesus loved him very much, but for her, all she found was silence and emptiness. She sought him but could not see him. She listened for him but heard no response. She prayed, but the words would not come out. She begged Michael to pray for her so she could completely surrender herself to Jesus. In Pope Benedict XVI's first encyclical, Deus Caritas Est, Mother Teresa is mentioned 3 times, using her life as an example of how prayer does not interfere with service to others, but is its source. Mother Teresa always maintained that prayer and reading spiritual books increased our capacity to pray. Although her order was not part of the Franciscans, she deeply admired Saint Francis of Assisi, whose spirituality left a mark on her. The Sisters of Charity recited the prayer of Saint Francis every morning as a gesture of gratitude after communion. Her commitment to ministries and her vows shared great similarities with those of Saint Francis, who dedicated his life to poverty, chastity, obedience, and service to Christ, especially to lepers. This was only the beginning. Mother Teresa received a diplomatic passport from the Indian government and was awarded the Padma Shri in 1962, as well as the Jawaharlal Nehru Award for International Understanding in 1969. She also received other honors, including the Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian award, in 1980. Navin Chawla wrote her official biography, published in 1992. Interestingly, in Calcutta, some Hindus venerate her as a deity. In honor of her centenary, the Indian government released a special 5 rupee coin on August 28, 2010, a symbolic amount representing how little Mother Teresa had when she first arrived in India. President Pratibha Patil acknowledged her impact, saying that Mother Teresa and the missionaries of charity, dressed in their white saris with blue borders, became a beacon of hope for the marginalized, the elderly, the homeless, the sick, the unemployed, and those forgotten by their families. Mother Teresa's efforts gained international recognition when, in 1962, she was awarded the Ramon Magsaysay Award for Peace. The award citation highlighted her compassionate dedication to impoverished people in foreign lands, which led to the founding of a new congregation. By the early 1970s, Mother Teresa had become a globally recognized figure. Her rise to fame was accelerated by the release of the BBC documentary directed by Malcolm Muggeridge in 1969, titled Something Beautiful for God, followed by a book of the same name. During the filming of this documentary, the team faced difficulties due to poor lighting conditions, particularly in the home for the dying. At first, they thought the footage would be unusable, but when reviewing it in England, they discovered it was surprisingly well lit. Muggeridge attributed this phenomenon to a divine light emanating from Teresa, while others on the team credited it to a newly developed highly sensitive Kodak film. Later, Muggeridge converted to Catholicism, deepening his relationship with Mother Teresa. During this period, Mother Teresa began receiving greater recognition and admiration within the Catholic community. In 1971, Pope Paul VI awarded her the Pope John XXIII Peace Prize, highlighting her commitment to the poor as an authentic embodiment of Christian charity and her work in promoting peace. In 1976, she was also honored with the Pacem in Terris Award. Mother Teresa's canonization process moved quickly, and she was recognized not only by religious institutions, but also by governments and civil organizations. In 1982, she was named an honorary companion of the Order of Australia for her extraordinary services to the Australian community and humanity in general. Both the United Kingdom and the United States awarded her several honors, culminating in the Order of Merit in 1983. On November 16, 1996, she was granted honorary citizenship of the United States. Her homeland, Albania, also paid tribute to her, bestowing upon her the Golden Honor of the Nation in 1994. However, her acceptance of this award, as well as the Haitian Legion of Honor, generated controversy. Mother Teresa was criticized for her support of figures like the Duvalier and controversial businessmen such as Charles Keating and Robert Maxwell. She even wrote a letter to the judge presiding over Keating's case, requesting clemency. Throughout her life, Mother Teresa was honored with various honorary titles from universities both in India and the West. In 1978, she was awarded the Balzan Prize for her work in promoting peace, humanity, and fraternity among people. And in 1975, she received the Albert Schweitzer International Prize. During a visit to the University of Scranton in northeastern Pennsylvania in April 1976, she was awarded the Leiter Medal for her humanitarian service, presented by the university's president, William J. Byron. On that occasion, Mother Teresa encouraged the audience of 4,500 people to connect with the poor in their own communities, either by providing food or spreading joy and love. She affirmed that those living in poverty help us grow spiritually as they represent Christ in his suffering. In August 1987, she received an honorary doctorate and addressed a crowd of more than 4,000 students and members of the Scranton Diocese, emphasizing the importance of performing small acts with great love in service of the poorest of the poor. Throughout her life, Mother Teresa was consistently ranked among the top 10 most admired women in Gallup's annual survey of the most influential people, taking first place several times during the 1980s and 1990s. In 1999, she was recognized as the most admired person of the 20th century, according to Gallup, surpassing other notable figures by a wide margin. However, her popularity was not universally accepted, and she was not free from criticism. In India, opinions about her legacy were not always positive. Arup Chatterjee, a doctor born and raised in Calcutta who had been an activist in the city's slums during the 1980s before moving to the UK, harshly criticized Mother Teresa in his 2003 book. He claimed that he never saw nuns from her congregation in the poorest areas he visited, and accused Teresa of distorting the image of Calcutta. He also pointed out that she promoted a kind of cult of suffering, exaggerating the achievements of her mission, and that she mismanaged the funds and privileges at her disposal. Chatterjee even noted that hygiene issues, such as the reuse of needles, improved significantly only after her death in 1997. During his tenure as mayor of Calcutta between 2005 and 2010, Bikash Ranjan Bhattacharya stated that Mother Teresa did not have a significant impact on the impoverished population of the city. He accused her of glorifying illness instead of providing proper treatment and of portraying Calcutta as a place of lepers and beggars. Despite these criticisms, even the right-wing Hindu political party Bharatiya Janata had disagreements with her over her support for Christian Dalits, although after her death they praised her and even sent a representative to her funeral. However, not everything was recognition and praise. There was also strong opposition regarding the government's decision to grant her a state funeral. Giriraj Kishore, General Secretary of the Hindu organization Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, RSS, argued that Mother Teresa's loyalty had always been more towards the church than towards society in general, accusing her of favoring Christians and performing covert baptisms of terminally ill patients. Nevertheless, these accusations were refuted by publications such as the weekly Frontline, which labeled the claims as false and having no impact on the perception of her accomplishments, especially in Calcutta, where her courage, altruism, and compassion were praised. Even after her death, the controversies continued. In 2015, Mohan Bhagwat, leader of the right-wing Hindu organization RSS, suggested that Mother Teresa's primary intention in helping the poor was to convert them to Christianity. Regarding her health, Mother Teresa suffered a heart attack in 1983 during a visit to Pope John Paul II in Rome. A second heart attack in 1989 led her to receive a pacemaker. In 1991, following pneumonia in Mexico, she experienced further heart complications. Despite offering to resign as the leader of the Missionaries of Charity, the sisters of the congregation secretly voted for her to remain in her position, which she accepted. In 1996, a fall caused her to fracture her collarbone, and months later, she was diagnosed with malaria and heart failure. Despite undergoing heart surgery, her health continued to decline. Archbishop Henry Sebastian de Souza of Calcutta even ordered an exorcism with Mother Teresa's consent, fearing she might be possessed when she was first hospitalized. On March 13, 1997, she resigned as the leader of the Missionaries of Charity, and she passed away on September 5th of that same year. Her body was displayed in an open casket at St. Thomas Church during the week leading up to her funeral. The Indian government, in recognition of her selfless service to the poorest of all religions, organized a state funeral in her honor. During the service, Cardinal Angelo Sodano, representing the Pope, delivered an emotional homily. News of her death was met with great sadness, both by believers and non-believers alike. Pakistan's Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif, described Mother Teresa as an extraordinary figure who dedicated her life to noble causes. He praised her unwavering commitment to caring for the poor, the sick, and the marginalized, considering her a brilliant example of service to humanity. Former UN Secretary-General Javier Pérez de Cuellar stated that Mother Teresa embodied the spirit of the United Nations and was a symbol of world peace. The Vatican recognized the healing of an abdominal tumor in Monica Bezra, an Indian woman, as a miracle, attributing it to a relic with Mother Teresa's image. Bezra claimed that a ray of light emanated from the image, curing her tumor. However, her husband and medical personnel asserted that the recovery was due to conventional medical treatment. In December 2015, Pope Francis approved a second miracle attributed to Mother Teresa, paving the way for her canonization. This miracle involved the healing of a Brazilian man with multiple brain tumors in 2008. The investigation began during World Youth Day in Brazil in 2013, and after a long process, the Congregation for the Causes of Saints confirmed the miracle. Mother Teresa was beatified in 2003 and finally canonized as a saint in 2016. On September 4th of that year, Pope Francis officiated the canonization ceremony in St. Peter's Square. Peter's Square at the Vatican, in front of tens of thousands of people, including representatives from 15 countries and 100 homeless individuals from across Italy. The ceremony was broadcast live so viewers around the world could witness the historic event. In Skopje, her birthplace, a week of celebrations was announced in her honor. In Calcutta, where she dedicated her life to serving the poor, the Missionaries of Charity organized a special mass to commemorate her canonization. On September 4, 2017, Sister Mary Prema Pirik, leader of the Missionaries of Charity, announced that Mother Teresa would be honored as the sole patroness of the Archdiocese of Calcutta during a celebration marking the first anniversary of her canonization. The announcement was made during a Mass at the Cathedral of the Most Holy Rosary on September 6, 2017. On September 5th, Archbishop Thomas de Souza confirmed that Mother Teresa would be designated as co-patron alongside St. Francis Xavier in a ceremony commemorating her canonization. However, before her passing, unknown aspects of her life came to light. Mother Teresa broke her silence about her internal struggles, revealing a dark side that few knew about. Despite spreading smiles and love, she herself deeply struggled with feelings of emptiness and loneliness. Although she always offered warmth to others, she herself needed that same warmth. Deep inside, she felt disconnected from God, yearning for His presence but not fully experiencing it. She feared she was not living up to Jesus' expectations, which caused her great distress. We want to deeply thank our subscribers and viewers for joining us on this revealing journey. Your constant support and comments are the motivation that drives us to continue creating quality content. We also thank the community of Mother Teresa's followers, whose shared stories and experiences helped us better understand the magnitude of this revealing secret. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this impactful journey. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our future content. Leave us your comments and let us know what you think about this revelation regarding Mother Teresa. We'd love to hear your perspective. Until next time, and remember, there's always more than meets the eye. May God bless and protect you always. Amen.